in America they call them meat patty hamburger, whereas Australia, the rest of the world, a hamburger is the entire thing. But anyway, that's something different again.
Thank you for your weekly cultural moment. Okay.
Anytime.
Do you love to travel?
Do you love road trips?
Do you love finding hidden treasures in towns all over the USA? Hi, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Craig. Welcome to Treasures of Our Town. It's the podcast that explores the unique and charming towns scattered throughout the United States.
Guided by our love for location-based games like geocaching. Join us as we venture to some of the country's most intriguing destinations, uncovering hidden gems and local secrets along the way.
And on today's episode, Josh, we reached out to our good friends, our family members, our patrons, and we asked them, what did they want to hear? What did they want to listen to? And you call what did you call? You call it a potpourri of questions. What's
a potpourri? A potpourri.
That's the one.
A patron. I just thought it had a nice ring to it. Patron potpourri of Q&A questions, and I'm calling it part 1 because we don't know how far we're going to get, right? And if
this is true,
and if this goes well, this is could be like an ongoing thing.
Yeah, an ongoing thing once every 6 months or something. We could reach out and do it from there. Exactly. It sounds good. And it's another way to give back to our patrons as well, because they are family members. They are really good to us as well. And we really do appreciate every single one of them too. So, all right, Josh, did you want to get into your delays and upgrades before we start?
It's time.
Because you've got a good one coming up. I'll say that.
Do you want my delay first or do you want my upgrade first?
Start with it's very different. We start with your upgrade.
Okay.
I want to leave your delay to very, very last. So you do your upgrade, I'll do my 2, and then you finish with your delay.
Okay. Craig, you know how much I love and I enjoy The Wizard of Oz, right?
Oh, yes, of course. I went with you in Florida down to the Wizard of Oz Museum.
Yes. We traveled down the yellow brick road together, didn't we?
Well, I videoed you traveling down literally a grown man skipping down the yellow brick road.
That's right. So I also am a big fan of musicals. And one of my favorite musicals of all time is the musical Wicked. And Craig, I've been waiting for 20 years for what I did last night with myself and the Reister Bunny. We went to Wicked, the musical, the movie.
Wow. Wow, that's really cool. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. Have you ever seen Wicked, Greg? Have you seen
Was it the movie? Did you say it was a movie?
It's a movie.
So it wasn't a stage.
No.
Oh, so it wasn't the stage thing.
But
right.
I'm going to say the movie was so good. I love the musical, but the movie, dare I say, was maybe even better than the musical. It was fantastic.
Really? Wow. Wow. Have you seen the actual musical though?
Yes,
first?
I've seen the musical twice in person.
Okay.
And it's fantastic. I love the music. It's great.
Yes.
And do you know anything, Craig? Do you know anything about Wicked? You know, like what it is?
I've seen Wicked the musical in Sydney, Australia, going back now over 10 years ago.
Oh, you've seen it. Yeah. That's great. So it's basically, if you don't know, it's basically the prequel to the Wizard of Oz, and it's basically how did the Wicked Witch of the West become wicked? And it was just fantastic. I know this isn't a pop culture podcast, although I talk about it a lot, but this is quite a film. And, this is the time of year where people kind of have some extra time with the holidays. I really highly recommend this movie. Even if you're not a big musical fan, this is very entertaining. It's a beautiful movie. It's really cool. So that was my upgrade. I've been waiting 20 years. The Wicked, the Broadway show has been out for 20 years. And I've always thought, gosh, this would make a really good movie. And it did.
Yeah. Well, before we start with the patron questions as well, Josh, I've got a question for you straight away. What's your favorite ever musical you've actually watched? Oh, there we go. That's thrown you for a 6 because you weren't on the. This isn't on the show notes, people. So just to let you know,
it's funny because
we can come back to it if you like.
No, I think I know. It's Wicked. Yeah. I love that musical. That's how much I love. And I love other musicals too. Now, honorable mention, come on, Back to the Future, the musical, which I've talked about, I think, on this podcast. That was fantastic. I also love the musical Rent. Are you aware of Rent?
I've seen Rent. Yeah.
Yep. And gosh, I love the classics too. I love Sound of Music. I love Oklahoma. I love The Music Man. I kind of like those classics too. Fiddler on the Roof.
Fan of the opera?
Phantom. I've never seen Phantom of the Opera.
Oh no!
I know I should.
Gosh, really?
But I know it.
I'm more enriched than what you are.
But I know it. Dun, 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 dun. See, I know it.
He's even people. This is a podcast, so audio only. But Josh is actually covering half of his face as he does that too. By the way, anyway. Mine, Josh, believe it or not, mine is actually, 42nd Street.
Oh, that's a great one. There's a lot of dancing.
Yes.
There's a lot of dancing, like a lot of tap dancing in that one.
Tap dancing, exactly right. And for me as well, Josh, it's not just the dancing because I saw it. I'm 49 years of age, okay? I was 14 years of age when I saw 42nd Street, and I still remember it to this day.
It made an impression on you.
It really did. It really did back in the day. Anyway, we're digressing. We're deep diving, Josh. And let's come back up to the surface and let's go with my delay. This is going to be a quick one because we've heard this before. Josh, I'm still getting scam messages on selling my car. Like, what is with these scam artists doing the same thing over and over again? So anyway, not spending any more time on those people. I'm moving on to my upgrade because I'm more excited about that.
Hold on,
this, Josh. Yeah.
Hold on. I want to talk a little bit about your delay. Okay. Are you going to just change your strategy? I think you should just do something else to sell this thing. Or are you in no rush to sell it?
I kind of am a little bit in a rushish to sell it. This year I need to sell it by this year. But I've got a backup plan anyway that I can sort of fall back on. It's not as much. You know what I mean? If you sell it to an actual company, it's not as much. It's nowhere near as much. But if I need to, there's a backup plan there. So there you
get it off your hands.
But my upgrade, I need to talk about my upgrade. Okay. My upgrade. Josh, have purchased a new for me 2017 model, fully decked out van, an actual real van, ProMaster van, high top that you can walk in. There's a bathroom inside. There's a shower.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. There's the queen bed. There's the cooktop. There's going to be a desk for me there to do my podcasting from the van, Josh. So there you go.
There might be actually enough room for me, so we don't have to get hotels anymore.
Well, if you want to share a bed with me, then there's a different story. Now, you would share a bed with me. I wouldn't share a bed with you. Just saying.
Oh,
but
thanks
anyway,
a lot.
There's enough, and Tim knows why. Anyway, but also,
hey, you know what, Craig?
Yeah,
this is kind of personal, but I'll say it because people listening in our family. I've lost quite a bit of weight over the last 3 months.
I have noticed that. I have seen,
which means that everything is flowing a lot better through my nose.
Your airflow is a lot better. I think
it's the doctor said that kind of stuff stops if you lose weight. So.
It does. It honestly does. It honestly does. So there you go. And that's why I'm on a mission at the moment too, Josh, to lose some kilos to lose some kegs, we call it in Australia. So hopefully next time people see me at an event, I would look a little bit different, hopefully, than what I used to look like. So, but we'll see. Anyway,
well, I just want to say congratulations. That is amazing.
Thank you.
I know that was one of your hopes. We know how much you love being on the road, and this is just going to make it even more fantastic. Craig, a 2017, it's going to be that's not that old. That's nice. That's going to be nice.
Exactly. It's 70,000 miles on it. And these things can last up to 1 million miles sometimes, some of them. The ProMasters, the ProMasters are a good quality vehicle. So I had it all checked out as well. It's in Phoenix, Arizona, and I had it all checked out by a mechanic over there. I was waiting for the mechanic's report to come back, and it came back all clear and all good. And and that's it. So I fly to Phoenix in start of December, and pick it up from there. And it's she already has a name from her previous owner. Her name is Tuesday. Tuesday. So there you go.
Is there a reason why it's Tuesday? Did you ask them?
Yes, and the reason for it is because apparently the current owner at the moment, her father's song or something is called Tuesday. Like her father's favorite song is Tuesday, something to do with Tuesday. Whereas me, I'm going to say to people, okay, no worries, see you next Tuesday, if you know what I mean. So
I like
as an Australian. So there you go. There you go. There's my delay and my upper. We're going to get to your delays, Josh. I think we should get to your delays.
I'm so happy for you. Delays. Mine is also vehicle related.
I know. My delay is... let you talk about your delay.
Yeah. So Monday morning, Mondays can be rough, people. And we try to do things that make it less rough, right? We got to ease into the week. But I was in a hurry. I had the Reister Bunny and my son, who just began driving, by the way, in the car.
Oh, yes.
In the car. So I hit the button to open up the garage door, and I put it into reverse.
Mm-hmm.
And I start pulling out of my garage. And I pulled out a little too soon because the top of my Subaru hit the garage. Scraped my car, dented and kind of bent the garage door, so I couldn't really, if I pressed the button, it wouldn't go down anymore. I was so mad. Some really interesting things came out of my mouth.
Yes.
And I had to, I was able to manually push it all the way up because it was stuck. I pull out, and then, how you can like disconnect the disc, so you can like do it manually. And I did, and it wouldn't even close that way, and I had to force it closed because it was like bent.
Oh no.
And I was just so mad. And then I went on about my day, and I was just thinking about it all day. I was so frustrated, so upset, especially since my son is a new driver. And it's just, if he ever gets a fender bender or something like that happens to him, all he'll point to and go, "Dad, you backed into the garage door. Come on."
He's got a get out of jail free card for his first prank.
Exactly. Exactly. But Craig, I was so upset. And then all of a sudden I came home and I was just like, just for kicks, I'm going to press the garage door button just to see if it does anything. And Craig, it was a miracle.
Why?
It just fixed itself.
No, you know what it was? You left Goliath at home, and there was little Goliath with a tool belt on, with his hammer and nails, with his tool belt going for a little fella.
No, it fixed itself.
Wow.
Like, I think what happened is when I forced it back up, whatever the dent or whatever it was in kind of undented itself.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And
straightened
it kind of fixed itself.
Yeah,
so I think I do need to get a tune-up of the garage door just to be sure, but it's working fine.
And how bad's
and
the car?
You know what? I was well, the car's a little scratched, but it's not bad. It's one of those things where only you notice, and you're just like, you look at it, you're like, why did I do that? But most people wouldn't notice. Anyway, that was an interesting delay.
Wow, there you go. Wow.
Isn't it funny that most of our delays have to do with vehicles? Remember the Matt story at the car wash?
That's right. And we still had people actually, where some of our patrons messaging you and asking you, did you get your money back for the mat? So there you go.
Yeah, I still haven't.
There you go. All right, Josh, let's lead in now. We're straight into this because we're going to get through these 8 patrons. 8 patrons reached out to us, Josh, with these questions. And we're going to thank them all first. And there's a few of them. And we'll let people know as well what the question was and who it was from before we give our answers. But did you want to do what you put a definition of potpourri there? What's this definition of potpourri?
It's potpourri. It's not potpourri.
It's spelled with a T.
It's spelled it is, but it's silent. It's potpourri. The T is silent. At least in Minnesota, it's silent. And I just thought, Craig, I thought it just had a nice ring to it. Patron potpourri. And a potpourri is something that you'd see at your grandma's house. It is a mixture of dried petals and spices placed in a bowl or small sack to perfume clothing or a room. A mixture of things, especially, there's a flower piece. But then this is the part that makes sense to us. A mixture of things, especially a musical or literally a literary medley.
So this is literally a medley of questions.
There you go. Potpourri.
Potpourri. I like it. Potpourri. And anyway, in Australia, we call it potpourri. Potpourri.
It makes sense. Yeah. It's spelled that way. I'll accept that.
There you go. All right, Josh, we're going to get straight into it. Question 1 was from Jamie Levin. Jamie Levin in Long Island too. So thank you very much, Jamie. And
we know his geocaching name too. Of course. It's a fun name to say. Motorimba.
No, Motorimbo?
Motorimo, I think. We're killing it. Sorry. Motorimba.
That's what it was. I wrote Motorimba. See, look at you.
It's all wrong.
It's all right.
Anyway, Jamie, sorry.
His question, Josh, was must-have food you've come across. He goes, I'm sorry if you've already done this, but I want to know the different types of food that you've come across in your travels. So I thought that was a great question. Did you want to lead out, Josh, with what food you've had?
Well, I think let's have you lead out because you kind of took this in a little different direction than I did.
Mm-hmm.
You actually answered the question. You were like, you focused on the food.
Yes. Yeah. Rather
you focused
than
on the food. I focused on the experiences.
Yes, true.
Like the experience, like some of these places don't have the greatest food necessarily. Some of them do.
Yeah.
But it's more about the unique experiences.
Yeah.
So let's just maybe go back and forth. So let's start with yours.
Yeah, I'll start with mine. Mine is always about trying local foods, Josh. So in other words, if I'm, if I'm at a coastal town, I want to try their delicacies. I want to try the fish that just comes off the boats, you know what I mean? Or the clams or the lobsters in Maine, for instance, that sort of stuff. So one of these things was when I went to Florida for the first time, I had to try gator bites. So I actually had some gator bites in Florida. See, so but for me, it's all about the type of food and the location, and they've got to mingle into one. For me, it's always a simple Google search. All I do is I search whatever the area is I'm at the time, and then local delicacies or local food, and that's it. And it comes and shows you what they should have. So yeah, I've had. Do you want me to list off mine? I'll list off mine.
No, well, let's go. Let's just go back and forth.
Okay, for me, one of the top ones there is gator bites in Florida. What about you?
Well, gator bites in Florida. I've had gator too in Louisiana. Also, also
same.
And let's talk about gator for a second.
Yeah.
They always say it's like chicken.
Yes.
But here's the deal. It's a little gamey. It's a little gamey for me.
Yes.
And I don't like that.
Oh, you don't?
Do you like that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, you can taste the protein. You know, it's the same with venison, you know, or bison as well. You get bison, you can taste that. You can taste the depth of the meat, of the flavor. So there you go. Yeah.
All right. Mine is a place which it also has fun food. It's the Billy Goat Tavern in Chicago. Have you heard of the Billy Goat Tavern?
No, I haven't. Tell me about the Billy Goat.
Okay. The Billy Goat Tavern is a very famous place because it was in the 70s on Saturday Night Live. See, here's another pop culture reference. They had a skit, and it was the Olympia Cafe, and it was a place, and it was Dan Aykroyd, and John Belushi. And it was like a restaurant where it was just so simple, and they just served cheeseburgers, and they would do cheeseburger, and then they went no Coke, Pepsi, and people are like, I don't want a Pepsi, just Coke. Like it's one of those places that it's making fun of like a cafe that's their menu is so simple that you have to get the cheeseburger.
Yeah, that's all they do.
Because the skit is like, I'd like to have some eggs and some hash browns. They're like, no, cheeseburger.
But it's breakfast time.
Anyway,
cheeseburger.
Yeah, exactly. And so the Billy Goat Tavern was what this skit on Saturday Night Live was based off of. And the location of it's really cool because it's below. So Chicago's kind of built on, their roads are kind of built on top of each other, and there's like levels.
Yeah.
And this one is underneath. So you're on Michigan Avenue in Chicago. And this one, you have to go down, like you're down under the street. And this tavern, this dive tavern is under the street.
Wow.
And it's just a really unique place. And of course, there's a geocache there.
Of course. And most of these places there are. That's what leads us to these locations too.
Let's be honest.
One of my next ones, Josh, as well, and I recently had this when I was in my UK trip, and I had to try the black pudding in England. Have you heard of black pudding in England?
No. Tell me more.
So black pudding is a combination of suet or fat as well. It's also known with grain and cereal, onion seasoning, and there's no denying it, cow or pig's blood as well is involved in it too. It is black in color. It's served in a natural casing, like actually an intestine, like an animal intestine casing. So it basically comes out like a sausage. You know what I mean? Like a hot dog, but a largish, thickish hot dog. And they slice it up. And you normally have one of those slices with your breakfast in the morning. Like it's a traditional English breakfast to have the black pudding. You have a sausage as well. You have bacon. You have eggs. You have your beans as well, baked beans as well. So, yeah, so I had to have the black pudding in England, and I enjoyed it.
Based on your description, that sounds disgusting.
Yes. I mean,
a suet of fat.
Yes.
Grain or cereal. Like all these things that you mixed. It's like none of these things sound good together.
But they
especially
are.
the cow or pig's blood.
Yes,
Ew.
yes. And it is coloured because of the blood as well. It colours it black. So that's why they call it black pudding.
Oh,
But yeah, so yeah, very, very, very delicious. It's very similar to in Scotland as well, Josh. How they have the same sort of thing, the haggis in Scotland, and that's all encased inside not an intestine, but like I think it's a lamb's stomach or something like that sort of thing, and that actually is cooked inside the lamb's stomach, and the lamb's stomach is part of the casing in which you eat. So absolutely delicious. So
isn't it kind of interesting that when things are in like casing in the shape of like a hot dog or brat, it just seems like it tastes better.
Yeah.
Like, but if it's not encased in it, you're kind of like, ew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes. No, very similar, very similar. So there, that was my second one, mate. So black pudding in England.
My second one is one that we've talked about on this podcast that we have been to together.
Yes.
And honestly, I think Craig, you introduced me to this.
Yes, and then I went separately as well to another one in the location too. I went to the one in the Ozarks.
Yes, because there's 3 locations.
Yes.
And it's Lambert's Cafe, home of the Throwed. Home of the Throwed rolls.
Yes. And you did a TikTok video on it too. Tim, Minnesota boy, he was there with us in Foley in Alabama as well. Josh, what do they do? Why are they called throwed rolls?
Because they walk out every half hour with fresh baked rolls, and they don't just hand them to you. No. They don't put them on your plate. They throw them across the room, and you catch them. Again, a great experience. But
not only is it a good experience, but also they have delicious food there too. I mean, there was the country fried steak there. There was the chicken. There was I think you had the country fried chicken as well. But those rolls are so fresh, people, that literally they bring them out in the trays that they're baked in, and so they kind of look a little bit like a muffin, like they've got a little muffin top as well, because they're baked inside these muffin trays. And so when you get them and you open up that fresh hot roll, there's still steam and moisture that comes out. So if you're listening to this and you start to salivate, well, you're welcome. But yeah, you don't even need butter in it sometimes. You literally just have it as it is by itself. Absolutely delicious. Lambert's Cafe, Josh.
And the locations are Foley, Alabama, which is the one we went to, the Ozarks, like you said, and Sykes-Town, Missouri. So there's 2 in Missouri, 1 in Alabama.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. What's your next one?
My next one is pizza in New Jersey, believe it or not. And I personally...
tell me more.
And I personally believe, and I might get hate, especially from Motorimba for this as well, but New Jersey pizza is better than pizza in New York. It's better than pizza on Long Island. And the reason for it is twofold. And that is, number one, the Italians in North New Jersey who brought it over here, absolutely delicious. But also, apparently, the water in which they use is going to be separate to the water in which they use in those other sort of states or boroughs from there. So, yeah, the pizza in New Jersey, I've never had pizza like it. Normally, pizza in Australia, Josh, and people from Australia listening would understand, it's all about the toppings. Whereas here, it's got nothing to do with the toppings. The toppings literally have to be the tomato-based sauce and cheese, and that's it. You don't have any other toppings on your pizza here in New Jersey. If you want a real, true New Jersey pizza, yeah, that's it. You don't need anything else. The flavor, the taste, the crunch factor. Yeah.
I mean, I love my toppings. I just feel like that's just like cheese bread.
Yeah, no. It's the tomato paste as well that they use here. Like it's sensational. Right. So there you go. When you come to New Jersey, because you haven't been here yet, when you come, we'll have to get you pizza.
Okay. So there you go. I'm open and curious.
Yes.
All right. My next place is actually a chain restaurant. It is called Dick's Last Resort.
Oh.
Have you ever been to Dick's Last Resort?
But I'd like to go to Dick's.
You would love this place, Craig. This is an experience. This is a place where all the servers treat you very rudely.
Oh, I've heard these.
Like on purpose. Yes. And they make fun of you. Yes. They give you these really ridiculous hats, and they write like really offensive and sometimes inappropriate things on them to insult you.
These, Josh, I've seen these on TikTok, whereby the young person who's actually filming the TikTok for themselves, they've got their unsuspecting parent normally with them who doesn't know what this is about. And so when these wait staff comes up and says, what do you want for dinner, fatty? Things like that. The parent's like, what? What did you just say? So it's those sort of things I'm thinking. So
that's funny. That's funny.
Very cool.
Yeah. We used to have one in the Mall of America, but unfortunately it closed. But there are still several locations. Yep. I think one's in Vegas. Look it up. Dick's Last Resort.
Yep. No, I did see the one in Vegas as well. But my next one, Josh, is fried chicken in Kentucky. Believe it or not.
Wait, you mean Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Yes.
KFC?
KFC. So KFC in Kentucky. So when I first come across in 2018, I had a list of things I wanted, Josh. I wanted to have a Long Island iced tea on Long Island. I wanted to have Kentucky Fried Chicken in Kentucky, you know what I mean? And it leads me also into my last one, which I'll put together, and that is I had buffalo wings in Buffalo, New York. And because it was the bar that actually created them, that created buffalo wings, is called the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, New York. And they are absolutely delicious. And this place, it's not special, Josh. It's like it was back in the day. It's just like a normal bar. They do have out the front the home of buffalo wings, but that's it. There's nothing really. There's no fanfare. There's no special things. It's like a normal bar, and like you would have back in the day when they first made the actual buffalo wings themselves. Here's a fun fact for you, Josh. Do you know why with your buffalo wings they have a side of the carrot sticks and the celery? Do you know why?
You've told me this before. We've talked about this.
I think I have.
It's because
it's the only thing.
I thought it would be.
It's the only thing that the actual chef who created the buffalo wings, it's the only thing that he or she had like at their disposal to put with them as a side. So there you go. That's the only thing they had as a side. So there you go. Yeah, that's it. Interesting. All right, that's my last one, Josh, as well. Now, have you got one or two more?
Well, a couple more. We'll go quickly because I know we have to cover other questions.
We do.
I also love places where food items originated as well. And you and I went together to Matt's Bar in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is the birthplace. Now it's contested. Of course, it's contested.
Always is.
But most people think this is the birthplace of the Juicy Lucy.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know what a Juicy Lucy unless they're from Minnesota. Basically, it's very simple. A Juicy Lucy is a cheeseburger with the cheese cooked inside of the burger.
Yeah.
So when you bite into it, we've explained it here on the podcast before. Yeah. It's like this cheese lava that squirts out of the burger, but it is very delicious.
It is exceptionally delicious.
Matt's Bar, you've been there, Craig. It's a very divey bar.
Yes.
And it's similar. That's like you don't get anything but the Juicy Lucy. That's everybody gets that.
There's no fanfare.
And there's like one guy behind the bar cooking, like in a corner cooking them. There's no kitchen.
No. You watch him cook. He's in the corner of the bar. Exactly. But I will say these things, they taste delicious. And for those people outside the US, if you're listening to this podcast as well, when Josh says that the cheese is inside the hamburger, he means like injected inside the meat patty itself.
Yes, injected.
In America, they call them meat patty hamburger, whereas Australia, the rest of the world, a hamburger is the entire thing. But anyway, that's something different again.
Thank you for your weekly cultural moment. Okay.
Anytime. What do you have? Do you have one more?
Okay. Couple other ones. The Safe House in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We've talked about the Safe House, haven't we?
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure we have.
Safe House is the spy-themed restaurant where you have to you go in through a secret side door through an entryway, and then somebody says as you walk in, they go, "Hello, spies," and they're like, "Do you know the secret password?" And if you don't know the secret password, they humiliate you, basically. And then the door opens, and you find out you've been on camera for the whole restaurant to watch you do the chicken dance or do some strange thing. If you know the password, which I do know the password, I'm never telling anybody. You can just walk in. You can walk in and leave your friends there at the door, and you get to watch them on the screen humiliate themselves. Anyway, you go through in the place, and it's all like James Bond themed. And there's actually a kind of a scavenger hunt inside the restaurant that helps you figure out what the password is. So next time when you go, you'll actually know the password.
Oh, so they still don't tell you the password, even if you get it wrong and still get.
No, you have to figure it out. It's kind of a scavenger hunt, and it's very famous in the geocaching world because this is a very favorite geocache because there's a geocache inside the restaurant behind the bar, and you have to ask for it. You'll see it. It's an ammo can right behind the bar, so it's very famous for that.
Nice. Safe House in Milwaukee.
Safe House, yeah, you got to go. And then one more that I've never been to. Have you heard of this place, the Casa Bonita? Have you heard of this place?
No. When I read
Craig.
this, I thought to myself, you're outside the US now, but no, you're still in Denver, Colorado.
It's a Mexican restaurant. I've never been there. I've heard about it. I just want to read you the description because if this is true, all this is true, this is amazing. The Casa Bonita in Denver is full of cliff divers. There's cliff divers in it. Neon pink stucco. I don't know how to.
I don't know that word.
I don't know that word. We'll skip it.
Sopapillas.
It is a legendary place that South Park creators decided an episode to it, created an episode towards it. Every reservation comes with a chance to interact with balloon artists, face painters, and roaming mask characters. One of them is named Man Bear Pig. Anyway, this place is experience. There's an arcade, there's Black Bart's Cave, there's a pirate hangout, there's skeleton animatronic scorpions and other jump scares.
Wow.
Craig,
it's almost like a theater restaurant sort of style.
Yeah. Will you be going through Denver when you drive back to get your car?
No.
You could.
No.
Oh, you won't?
No, okay. I'm going south. It's too cold this time of year. No, thank you.
Oh, come on.
I'm no Minnesotan. So there you go. I hope we answered your question, Jamie. And again, thank you very much for reaching out. We're going to move on, Josh, to Jerry. Is it Jerry Neese? Am I getting that wrong? All right. Jerry Neese.
And his geocaching name is Genice.
Genice. That's very nice. Jerry says a trip planning that you do, actual trip planning that you do. So how do we actually plan our trips? What apps, software do you use? And what makes you visit those places that people are just so damn proud of? So he's even led you into your local line too. So there you go. So he's talking about apps and visits, like places we visit and how we decide that we're going to do trip planning.
So Craig, you're more of a road tripper than I am. You're on the road a lot more. You have some good ones here. I don't have as many as you. So take it away.
Well, for me, it's more, as you said before, it's more about the road trips. I mean, I do some air flights as well, but road tripping for me, I really, really enjoyed. So road trips being staying on the road and inside a vehicle, and you can do obviously your motels and hotels, etc. on the way. But I use the 3 apps I'm going to use is the Road Trippers app, and all these links are going to be in the description, Josh. iOverlander and Harvest Hosts. Now, what these do, Road Trippers app talks about planning a route for you to go. It highlights significant sites and landmarks along a particular route that you want to go. So this isn't geocaching, Josh. This has got nothing to do with geolocation-based games at all. This is literally a road tripping app that you can go, I want to go from Phoenix to, New Jersey or New York City, and it will plan a trip for you, the best route. You can move the trip around. You can also do a radius along that, say for instance 50 miles each side of that road to see what's along that road as well. So if you want to jut into little towns here and there, if you like something new, then you can do that too. So Road Trippers app is the one that I always use. Yes.
Can I have a question?
Yes.
Are there filters where you can have roadside attraction filters so it shows you that kind of stuff, or
exactly
certain
right
kind of restaurants and
okay. It has all that. So it talks about restaurants, it talks about roadside attractions, it talks about museums. There's even a museum filter in there as well. There's like the top 100 things to see, like as rated by Yelp, and things like that too in the US. So if you want to just go in there and go, okay, I want to see the top 10 things that people want to see in the US and take me to it. It'll show you the route to the top 10 things in the US to see. So
is it a free app or is it a paid app, or is it free
Both.
with it? Okay, so you can get a premium version of it.
Exactly right. And the premium version, then you can actually do a lot more filters with. It's more about the filtering with the premium version, whereas the non-premium, you can't really filter out all the little bits and pieces. So if you don't want any museums at all, if you don't want dump sites, there's even dump sites there for real on the road van lifers too. So
nice.
Yeah, there's things like that too. So that's
really cool.
App. The other one is iOverlander, and this one is a community-based app. Do you know what that means when it's a community-based app?
Does it mean that it was created by the community?
It was created it was created by a person, obviously, but then the
Yeah.
community is the one that updates the app. And
Okay.
this is all about locations and which possible overnight stays are allowed, also dump
Mhm.
stations, water and electric, where you can get water and electric from as well. So this is predominantly now for van lifers, for
Yes.
RVers, that sort of stuff as well. So iOverlander, it is a free app as well, this one. But again, because it's community based in terms of the community are the ones that said, oh, I stayed here for one night and there was no problems. Doesn't mean that you can rely upon that,
Hmm.
100%, because things can change. All of a sudden, there might be a sign up saying no overnight parking, that sort of thing too. So,
Right.
iOverlander is that one, and the last one I have is Harvest Host. Now, this one was going to tempt you, Josh. The Harvest Host. This is a
Okay.
subscription based one, so this one you do have to pay for, but it's well worth it because you pay, I think it's like $100 a year for this particular one. And this one gives you all the locations that you can stay at overnight for free. Now, we're talking
Ooh.
about things like farms, different people open their farms they become
Oh,
hosts, you see, different
interesting.
campgrounds, different golf courses, breweries, wineries, all these places you can stay overnight for free. You just need to have, obviously, the subscription. So really, $100, you're going to pay for that in 3 nights of these accommodations. You see, so
Oh, so it's like couch surfing, but for
but for RVers,
outside RV.
yes,
Like, yeah. So it's not just a couch. It's not like we just have a couch. It's like we have a field you can park your car in, or we can.
exactly, or a parking lot, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Interesting.
So Harvest Host, I think it's a fantastic idea, but at the same time, when you're there, you're gonna really partake in whatever's there. In terms of if you're at a winery or brewery, you're gonna go and have a few beers,
Yeah.
that sort of thing too. So it does rely upon that too. So yeah, or if you're at a golf course, you can go and maybe have some dinner or a meal inside the golf
Hmm.
course. You see, so you still patron the actual location, but you do that anyway, sort of thing. So
Right.
Harvest Host, Josh, they're my top three for road tripping throughout the US. So hope
Those
that
are
helps
really
everyone.
good. Those are really good. I'm going to bring up one that we've brought up on this podcast before because it's really amazing and people I don't think, take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what, if you know you're going to a town, no matter what the size, Greg, it could be
Mm-hmm.
just like little town.
Mm-hmm.
You could give ChatGPT a prompt by saying, I'm going to go to, let's say, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
That's a big city.
that's
I'm going to be there for 3 days. I'm going to be there
yeah.
3 days. Give me a fun adventure. Plan a fun adventure for me every day, or two fun
Mm-hmm.
adventures. I want to eat at some of the best places, or that are great for families to visit. And I would like to leave on this day and arrive on this day. And you put the prompts in, and it will create a whole plan, an
Mm-hmm.
itinerary for
Mm-hmm.
you for wherever you are.
Yeah,
It's
that's one of the best things
unbelievable.
I've heard. I've heard you do it first. You did it for your trip up north as well with you and the Rooster Bunny.
Yeah.
I remember you saying that, and after I thought, what a great way to see. Some people are a little bit on the edge, on the fence when it comes to AI stuff. But that Josh, there is a perfect example of what ChatGPT can do for you. You know what I mean? Like, it actually, for do trip planning,
Mhm.
that's a great idea. I love
And
that idea.
it was so interesting because, yeah, I last time I did that, I did Grand Marais, which is like a town of like 5,000 people.
Mm.
And the two restaurants it picked were the two top rated restaurants on Google. Like,
Yes.
I double checked. I was like, how good are these places?
Yeah.
ChatGPT picked the best place.
Yeah.
It knew. It's just
Yeah.
it's unbelievable, and it's just a great tool.
It is.
So
It really is.
we've talked about on the last podcast, Adventure Labs. They are tours.
Mhm.
They will show you cool places or neat
Yeah.
things that other people don't know about. I don't have to go
Mhm.
into further detail, but that's an app. And then Cash Tour, or Cash
Oh,
Tour,
yes.
which is basically like road trippers for geocaching,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you don't know anything about it, basically the coolest thing it can do is, if there's a certain amount of if you have a list of caches from on a route, for example, or in a circle, for example, or if you're in a
Mhm.
town, like I've used this for geo tours. I put in all the caches for the town,
Oh, the
and then
GeoTour.
it will create a logical route, because sometimes you don't know, like, what order
yeah.
should I do them in, and it'll
Yes.
create a logical route to complete the
sense.
geo tour. Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So
I've seen Cash Tour for a few years now. It's been on my radar, but I've never really been able to. To me, it's a bit, I don't know, clunky how it works. So
it's there's a learning curve. There's an app for it too. It's one of those things where you're best to do your planning on a desktop, and then when you actually do the trip, you can use the app. So they kind of talk to each other.
Yep. That makes sense. Just log in with your same login account. That makes sense. Exactly. Very good. There you go. We hope we've answered your question there, Jerry. Next one, Josh, comes from Sims Quest. So Sims Quest, and they have been obsessed with the Thomas Dambo trolls ever since they did the ones in Minnesota this fall, and they would love to hear or chat more about the Thomas Dambo trolls. Now, all I can say about this, and it'll be quick, and that is, I did the ones with you in Kentucky, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. I thought they were fantastic. They're great photo opportunities, and in some cases, there's good adventure labs on each one as well.
Yes.
There was a couple of caches, but the caches themselves weren't on the trolls. They were just sort of on the path or just off the path as you're going from one troll to the next. But anyway, that's the only ones I've done in Kentucky. Thoroughly enjoyed them, Josh.
Yes.
What can you tell us more about these?
Yeah, so if you don't know, we've talked about the Thomas Dambo trolls before. SimQuest, I have also done the Minnesota ones, and I've done the Kentucky ones as well. And they're created by a man named Thomas Dambo. He's an artist from Denmark, and he's created these trolls made out of mainly recycled wood. And they all have like a similar look. It's like when you look at them, they all kind of are like the same species of troll, basically. And if you're curious, I did a little bit of research on this. If you're curious about seeking out more of these trolls, get this, Craig. I have the official number. There are currently 153 of these trolls on the planet now. 153. And if you go to trollmap.com, it basically is like, it's really cool, Craig. It's like a geocaching thing for the trolls.
Oh, really?
You log in. There's a map, and the map of the world has X's all over it. You click on it, and then it shows you the troll in that area, and then it says, you can check, I completed this troll, and it keeps track of how many trolls you found.
You can. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Right?
I like it.
So I'm sure there are people that are like, I want to get all, of course, I want to get all 153.
There is. I mean, there's people out there like myself, Josh, who need to go to every single Buc-ee's gas station, in the US. I let you know I've got 5 more to go, but anyway.
Wow. So that's cool. There's a trollmap.com, and you can find them all there and kind of look at pictures of them. And then Thomas Dambo put together a really fancy book. It's called Trash Trolls and Treasure Hunts. It's the story of his first 100 trolls. And get this, it is a 440-page book filled with photos of the creation of these trolls and the stories behind them. And it's not a cheap book. It's about $70. But if you're really you're loving and really into these trolls, it would be a very cool coffee table.
I was going to say coffee table book.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be perfect coffee table book.
Yeah.
Right.
And here's the thing. Here's another thing I learned. What's that? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, sit it right next to your comic book.
Oh yeah, right. What is it? There's another thing I wanted to say. I lost it. It just left my brain. It's gone.
That's all right. We may get back to it. All right. Next one we're moving on is to the man himself, Timothy Larson, also known as Minnesota boy, Minnesota boy, Minnesota boy. So I always have to say it 3 times. I don't know why. Anyway, Tim, if you should know Tim by now, we talk about him a lot on the show. He's a very good friend of both of ours as well, and we have traveled with him a fair bit. But his question was, how about your travel tips, both for road tripping and a flying getaway? Like airport likes and dislikes, luggage tips, technology to make things easier, apps and gear. So maybe we're going to talk more now about like the airport and luggage sort of thing, apart from just the road tripping stuff. So I do have tips on road trips, like actual tips of how to do road trips rather than the apps now. But yeah, what do you think, Josh?
Well, this could be a whole episode in itself. So
I know.
We'll try to move carefully. So I'm going to go through really quickly through my road trip stuff. Okay. And you kind of alluded to this too, as well, as I see on your notes here. I think the best road trips are those that are flexible to stop and see something cool, that you're not in a rush. I think a lot of people are like, I got to get to my destination. In my view of a road trip is like, the destination is something, but it's also the road trip is a part of the trip. So to be okay to see, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. That's where they make duct tape. Let's stop.
What Josh is alluding to now is a time when, you and I, we traveled literally from an airport, and we were traveling through past to another location, and we saw a sign on the road saying that the home of the duct tape, and you got all excited about your duct tape. You went quackers over that duct tape, but anyway.
There's an episode about that. If you want to go back, it's our Cincinnati episode. Or no, I'm sorry, Cleveland. It's our Cleveland episode.
Cleveland Rocks episode.
Cleveland Rocks. Yep, that's it. Here's another thing. You probably don't utilize this as much, Craig, because you usually sleep in your vehicle. But a lot of times when you're road tripping, you don't know where you're going to stop and sleep all the time because you don't know how far you go. So there's an app called Hotel Tonight. And let's say it's like 10 o'clock at night and you're like, oh gosh, we're tired. Let's find a hotel. Instead of like, oh, we got to find a hotel online, or just like stopping into a hotel. Like if you walk into a hotel and say, I need a room, you're going to get charged like the full price. Yeah, exactly. But if you're going on a road trip in a weekday, there's so many hotels that just have empty rooms. Yeah. So Hotel Tonight helps you find the hotel rooms that are just empty, and it's with like a severe discount because it would just sit empty otherwise. The hotel rather get your $50 than have their room be closed or have their
empty
room. Yes.
Exactly. So, Hotel Tonight. That's a great tip, Josh. I love that. I hadn't heard that one before, so there you go.
Another one, I'll just go quickly through mine, is Turo, which is basically the Airbnb of a car rental.
Hire
cars, yeah. So basically, instead of doing a rental car, you basically rent your car from another human being, just another person that has their car available. And here's the thing I like about it. It's affordable, A, but B, you don't have to wait in line. Like, how annoying is it to wait in line to get your car and then have them try to sell you and like add. This is like, you just get off the plane and they give you a little scavenger hunt to get to the car, and they give you a little scavenger hunt to find the key, and you're off. It's very.
Or I was going to say what they do as well. Sometimes they'll actually drive up to your location, and the owner will get out of the car, and they'll have another person behind them to pick the owner up. And so they literally, drive the car to you, so you can just jump straight in the car. That happened with us at one of ours, Josh, that we did one time as well when you first introduced me to Turo. So
yes,
there you go. Yeah,
that was a good one. So here's another one. This is kind of an obvious one. Podcasts. Road trips. Sometimes road trips get really long, and I find when there's things that are stimulating my brain, it seems like the driving goes much faster than just listening to music. Here's a good tip. I travel a lot for work, and this is one I really do. That's bring your own pillow. You don't know when you rent that hotel room or have. You don't know what kind of pillow you're going to have. And that's the one thing you for sleeping that you can keep consistent. You're not going to bring like a mattress probably, and you're not going to bring your blankets and stuff. But the one thing that can really impact your sleep is having that consistent pillow.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Then
If you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've brought my pillow on many road trips. And last one is, I believe, this is kind of an opinion, I believe rest stops are better than gas stations.
For relaxing or for
using the restroom.
Really?
Using the facilities, because when you go into a gas station, a lot of times there's just one stall and you have to wait till they get out. And let's be honest, like gas stations often, unless it's a Buc-ee's, it's not very clean. Yes. And so rest stops, they're designed for you to get in and get out. You're not tempted to buy a bunch of food that's overpriced.
Exactly.
And I just like, let's wait for the rest stops because we can do our business and keep going.
Yeah.
Those are mine.
But also as well, Josh, leaning on that one too, with the rest stops, you'll find in most cases, going back to our games that we play, in every single rest stop that I've been to across the state so far, there's been munsies and geocaches alike. So, if you want to, I stop at a rest stop and I want to get out and do like a 15-minute walk, clear the air, clear the brain, you wake up again or whatever you need to do. And I can literally walk around the rest stop and collect all the munsies, grab the one or two caches that are in there as well. So, yeah, exactly right. So that's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Mate, I had the same sort of thing for road tripping, and that is if you've got a plan, it's good, but still be flexible. So I said exactly the same thing. I also said, and this is my safety coming out of me, know your driving limits and never drive tired or fatigued. So if you are,
very smart.
That's where the rest stops come in handy and a clutch for that sort of stuff too. And then obviously all the apps that I did with Jerry. So that was my road trips. Now, Josh, are we going to go to the airports and luggage?
Yes, this is fun. I love this stuff. Do you want me to go first? Or do you want to?
Yeah, you can go first. We'll go.
Okay, because a couple, we might have some disagreements on some of these.
Yeah, I think so,
but we'll see. I roll all my clothing to maximize space in my luggage. I roll my jeans, I roll my t-shirts, I roll my underwear. I make my clothing as small as possible to fit as much clothes as I possibly can, even pants. So if you're wondering, how do you do that, Josh? There's tutorials on YouTube, of course there is, of how to roll t-shirts, roll jeans, and even tuck them in so they stay rolled.
Yeah.
It's clutch.
Did you read my notes before you did yours? Because I
Probably
said when packing clothes, I like to roll each of the item individually. It saves the wrinkles. You can pack more in, and it's easy But the thing is, though, it's easy as well to see what you have without getting all the other clothes out too. So you literally you open up your little suitcase or you open up your backpack. What do you have? And you can see the shirt, you can see the shorts, you can see your clothing there, and you just literally grab out the roll. So yeah, exactly. See, I had the same, Josh. Same.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah, exactly.
Another one is I always bring a garbage bag, especially if my trip is for a week. I bring a garbage bag so I can separate my dirty clothes from my clean clothes. Now, a lot of luggage have automatic separators anyway, but there's just something about having that garbage bag barrier so your dirty clothes don't infect your clean clothes.
Especially the underwear. Let's be honest, people. Exactly. Especially the underwear. You don't want the underwear touching.
Separate.
Undies and socks. Yeah. No, I do the same thing, Josh. And otherwise, though, as well, if you're staying at hotels, most hotels do have. I use the laundry bag. Sometimes they have a laundry bag for that. So I'll utilize the laundry bag. I won't send it to their laundry. It's way too expensive. I'll use that as the garbage bag with all my other dirty clothes as well. So yeah, good tip. Next up, you have.
My next tip is this is a funny one. I told some people at work this. They were like, "What?"
Yeah.
So when you pack for trips, especially if they're a week or longer, this might be just a problem in my house. We have typically sometimes 3 men that live in my house, and we do all the laundry together, and we all have the same socks. And it's so hard to find like enough matching socks. Do you like 7 pair and you're like searching everywhere? I just cut that all. I just go to Target and I buy a pack of 10 of socks and I just put it in my bag. Done.
You don't even roll them up. You just leave them in the pack and ready to go.
Exactly. So. When I did Geo Woodstock, I did that. I literally just bought a pack of socks. Yeah.
Easy, done. Yeah. It makes sense.
It's silly, but it helps me.
What about not as hard when you? I was going to say not as hard for me though when I literally do all my own laundry by myself together, and then separates everything and I have my own little cupboard, so not as hard for some. But anyway,
yes. Exactly.
What's your next one, Josh?
Okay, so this is where we might have a little bit of disagreement. If you're not in a hurry, just check your bag. Just check it because the airport experience is so much less stressful. You know, and you can just you don't have to carry as much. I love just when I'm carrying a backpack and I don't have to worry about it. And I don't have to worry about the liquids and I don't have to worry about them going through all my luggage and through security. So even if you have just a carry-on bag, sometimes I just check it just to make it more simple for me. But I make sure I have one set of clothes in my backpack just in case. Just in case they lose my luggage.
That makes sense. Well, I'll go on and say this as well, Josh. And that is if you're sure or not sure in regards to checking, or if the airline itself will charge you, for instance, to check a bag, and you've only got something the size of a carry-on, then literally use it as a carry-on. But then they'll ask you when you're actually at the gate, Josh. They normally ask you. Oh, if you want something to check for free, you can check it here at the gate. And you can then check it at the gate for free. It doesn't cost you anything at all. So there's a handy tip for those people who want us to save some money. So against these airlines. So there you go.
Yeah, and that's not an issue for me because I have the Delta American Express card, so I get all my checked bags free. So that's nice. Let's see. What's another one? I have a lot for this.
You do have a lot for this.
Why rush to get on the plane? So when you're boarding the plane, even though it's you, they call your like your what number or like what do they call it, Craig? Your like zone. And they call your zone.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna be sitting on the plane as long, you know what I mean? As long anyway. Why would you want to spend more time, especially if you don't have a carry-on bag, right? Because I know people are worried like, oh, there won't be enough carry-on space above. Yeah. I know that's one of the reasons. But if that's not a big deal to you, just like chill. Like just chill and just hop on that. Be one of the last people. Your seat is reserved unless you're in Southwest, by the way. But your seat is reserved. Like, why are you rushing? Why are you rushing to get on the plane?
See, this is where we do disagree, Josh, because I'm one of those people that I have to be like in the first of the line or very close to the first of the line, even though at the moment, with all my status as well, I'm normally in group number 1. And when I'm traveling with my wife, I'm actually in the pre-boarding group before group number 1 too. So, yeah, because she's got the 1K status. So with
that, see, Craig, though, that's different because the moment you get on the plane in a more priority thing, the experience has gotten better, right?
Yes.
It's better than standing outside.
Yes.
But if you're in coach and have a middle seat in the back, that's not better. So it's like, what's better? So I think people, why are you such a rush to get on the plane? And then another one, this is more of a pet peeve. Why are you in such a rush to get off the plane?
Yeah.
When people are like, clearly everybody in front of you has to get off first. It's so annoying. This is my pet peeve. It's so annoying when people, the plane pulls up to the gate and everybody stands up. What? I'm like, I want to look at those people and like, where are you going? There's nowhere to go.
Josh, I love it. I love it as well when you hear that ding sound that that they've arrived at the gate and you take your seatbelts off. You hear the ding, and then within a split second, you hear the click, 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 click. Everyone's unclicking their seatbelts, and everyone's
you're like, "Where are you going? Where are you going? You can't go anywhere." And then they just stand there, and they're literally standing there for 20 minutes. I'm like, "What?" Yeah. Like, just be
pulling
patient,
their bags
people.
out, knocking people in the head with their bags. So. Gosh. There you go. Look, this has turned into Josh's whinge fest.
This was that was a rant. Okay, a couple other things. The turtle neck pillow. Do you know about turtles neck pillow?
Yeah, that's the pillow that goes around your neck when you sleep.
Yeah, but it's more like a neck brace. It looks ridiculous.
Like a neck brace.
It looks ridiculous. It's not one of those foamy ones.
But people wear it the wrong direction though, Josh. You're not supposed to wear it like from one side around the back and to the other side. You're supposed to wear it around the front of your neck and have the back of your neck free, because then you can actually sit back in the seat. People wear it around the back of their neck and literally leave it there, and your head's bobbing forward the whole time. You're not supposed to have your head bobbing forward. So you're actually supposed to turn it around and have it choking your neck rather than behind your neck.
You're thinking of something different. You're thinking of an actual pillow. Yeah, the turtle, it's spelled T. It's spelled TRTL, I believe. It's a brand, and it's more of like a brace where it's like a wrap around your neck, and then there's like a little like plastic piece, and it just holds your neck up. It just holds your neck up. So you're not, it's Greg. There's study. It's way better than a neck pillow. Where it just holds your neck in place, and you can literally just relax. So you don't have moments where your like neck is flopping all over. Anyway, look it up. I have one. It looks kind of ridiculous when you wear it. It looks ridiculous when you wear it, but it's so much more comfortable than any neck pillow I've ever used.
It's not actually a pillow. You're not going to get embarrassed when you're asleep, people. Like, let's be honest. If you're having a good nap and good sleep, you're not going to get embarrassed by it. So, there you go. Very cool. Very cool. What else have you got?
How much time are we? This is a long episode, people.
It's going to be
Are you still with us? Hello?
Yeah, we'll keep it going.
Are you still with us? Are you still?
We've only got a couple more. We've only got a few more to go. We're going to go to quite a few to go. So let's keep it rolling.
All right. I like when I get home from a trip, I unpack right away. and I put everything in the washer right away.
Yeah.
I don't let that just sit forever. I just get that out of the way.
Yeah.
And then, Craig, you turned me onto this. If you fly more than four or more, I'm going to say 4 or more times a year, get pre-check. What's the name of our security administration? Some blah 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 pre-check.
Oh, you mean the airport pre-check stuff?
Yeah, airport. But what is it called?
I can't think now anymore.
I know
it's too late for us tonight, Josh.
Anyway, it's $80 for 3 years. $80. That's nothing to be able to go into the line where you don't have to take off your shoes and you don't have to worry about your liquids as much. It's fantastic.
Yep, exactly. It makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. I've had that for a few years now too, and it took me longer to get it than you or anyone else because of my status, my actual immigration status. I was a green card holder, not a citizen, so it took me over 6 months to actually get approved for that. Wow. But anyway,
it's TSA
pre-check. There you go. I knew it'd come back to you eventually. If we keep talking about it, it'd come back to you, mate. I've only got a couple when it comes to airport and luggage. I'm the opposite. I say if you can, only have carry-on because it saves you time in the back end as well, so you're not hanging around that belt and waiting for your actual luggage to come up. That's if you're in a hurry.
Right.
I also said as well, it never actually hurts to ask at the gate for an upgrade, Josh. Have you ever done that? You're at the gate. You're at the gate.
I have.
You check. You got to check. You got to check first. You got to check first of all the open seats, making sure, and then go up and just say, look, any chance of an upgrade. Even an upgrade could be just to an aisle seat or a window seat rather than a center seat. Like, let's be honest, people, it doesn't have to be upgrade to first class. We're talking upgrading your seat in general. Yeah, bigger leg room when it comes to the what do you call it, the exit rows and stuff like that too. So there you go. And the other thing I've got the packing, roll your clothes exactly the same as you. But I also put as well, if you can actually use vacuum packs to get, you get the travel ones of vacuum packs to actually seal your clothes, and it shrinks them down. It takes out all the air. Yep. But get the travel ones where you can use it as a roll and you don't need a vacuum cleaner for it, basically. So there you go.
Nice.
They're mine. So there you go. I hope Tim's happy with those. We're going to move on to the next one, Josh. It's from Beth and Luke Warnes from Fam of 5W. Yes. And they ask the pros and cons of guided tours. They're heading to Washington, D.C., for example, and there's so much to see. Yeah. Is doing a guided tour worth the value? So, again, a great question. Thank you, Beth and Luke.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
And this is a great question because I have toured Washington, D.C., and I have used a tour guide, but you don't have to commit to like the full deal where, I think there's some places where you can get a tour guide for several days. I honestly don't recommend that. When I went, Craig, to Washington, D.C., I did a Segway tour.
Oh, yes.
And the reason it was so awesome was because it was about 2 hours, 3 hours long. There is if you're doing Washington, D.C., there is so much walking.
So much walking.
So the first thing you do, you take the Segway tour. First of all, riding in Segways it's a blast. That's so fun.
It's a load of fun.
It's fun just like cruising around in them. They go faster than you think. But you go to all the spots in the Washington Mall because it's very long, all the way from the Lincoln Memorial all the way to the Capitol building and everything in between. You get to see all those things. And then what it does is that gives you a sense of kind of where you are, and it gives you it kind of gives you a lay of the land. And then once you have that lay of the land, you know what you're going to want to go back to later and to spend more time at. So I'm a fan of tours, but I'm a fan of like shorter half day tours, 2 hour tours. Because I think then you can get a lay of the land, and then you have the luxury to have freedom to do some of the things that you want to maybe dig in deeper. That's my big high level tip with Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I've also got as well, because when I did DC, the very first time I came across, because again, Josh, I thought I had all these things on my list to do in 2018 because I thought, I'm never going to be back in the US again.
Right.
and so, yeah, I know, unbeknownst to me, here we go. But I actually let geocaching guide me in DC. So I did my route and I hired a bike, like a push bike itself.
Yeah.
And so I did the bike, so not the Segway, but the same as thing. I didn't want to walk. It's a lot of walking. There's miles and miles of walking. And so, I did the bike and just went literally from virtual to virtual to virtual of geocaching and learned myself that way in regards to the history and the development and everything else in regards to the statues and the monuments and everything there is about DC. So, and also if you're going to DC, don't forget the webcam cache too. There's a webcam cache in DC as well. So one of my favorite types. So there you go. That's what I did in DC, Josh. I let geocaching be my guide.
And actually I did too. It was kind of fun because the people that were on my Segway tour, I introduced them. They're like, "What are you doing?" And as I was trying to get information off of certain stuff for those virtuals, because those are some pretty famous virtuals. Another I think another thing with tour guides that I like is that it forces you to slow down and you will learn things that you wouldn't learn otherwise. So I really like that. With a tour guide is like sometimes you don't stop and be like, oh, why is this thing significant? And a lot of times tour guides will like summarize whatever's on the long plaque.
Long form. Yeah. Exactly.
And you're like, I don't want to read all this. So the tour guide will be like, this is what this is, and this is why it's important.
Exactly. I had a guide, Josh, I recently did when I was in London as well. I enjoyed the river cruise. And so there was a river cruise going all the way up through London, and it was a guide on the river cruise. And what the guide did, again, same sort of thing, that is he was telling us about what was so important about that, what was so important about that, like London Bridge versus Tower Bridge, how they're two totally different things. And then they tell you fun facts, like hidden information in terms of dates and times, but also funny stories to go along with the locations as well. Like, you ready for this? So if you don't know, London Bridge is basically just the plain, straight bridge after the Tower Bridge. The Tower Bridge, Josh, with the two big towers, it opens up. Right. That's actually the Tower Bridge. That's not London Bridge. London Bridge is just literally a plain concrete bridge right next to it that no one even looks at. No one takes photos of London Bridge, right? So what happened was they were replacing, this is going back 20 or 30 years ago, they were replacing London Bridge. And in doing so, they were literally cutting out the bridge. And they put it on auction for the bridge to be sold. An American brought the London Bridge for himself to say, I'm going to buy London Bridge. He bought it for a few $1 million and they shipped it to the US, and it's here somewhere in the US. So there's London Bridge in the US. But when he got it, he went, hang on, is this London Bridge? Because he was confused. He thought he was buying Tower Bridge, not London Bridge.
Boy.
So he was very disappointed.
If he would have had a tour guide, he would have known that.
He would have known. Exactly right. Exactly. And that's my point with tour guides. They can make it a lot more interesting, a lot more fun, and you can have those hidden stories that you would never know, and that they stick with you. Those stories stick with you then for afterwards as well. So yes, I enjoyed that one too. What other information do you have, Josh?
Yeah, a couple other things about Washington, D.C. Don't skip the museums, the Smithsonian museums. They're all free and they're amazing. So don't skip those. That's just like a great opportunity to not have to spend any money and just have a really fun experience. Craig, I don't know if you've ever attempted this. I attempted to actually park a car in DC. It was the worst experience I've ever had trying to park a car.
Yeah.
There's no parking unless you work there, right?
Well, are you ready for my little quick story then? When I was coming through and I wanted to do the webcam cache, the webcam itself is out over a roundabout area and looks over a roundabout area. So I tried for nearly 15 minutes trying to find parking anywhere near the roundabout. Couldn't find it all. In the end, Josh, I put my big magnetic sign, See My Shell sign, on the back of the van that I had at the time. And as I drove around, I had my phone ready. As I drove around, I waved out with my hand and then took a screenshot of the back of my van with See My Shells on there and my hand. I went, yep, that's the webcam done.
That's so smart. That's great.
So I hear you when you say the parking in DC is the worst. So yeah.
I had to park so far away. If I could do it over again, I would have taken a bus in there, or I would have taken an Uber. Yeah. Do not rent a car and think that you're going to find parking, because you're not. or you're going to pay a lot of money to reserve
Yes,
spotted.
Exactly.
And then one more tip, Washington, D.C. for me is this is a unique opportunity to possibly meet your state's congressperson or state representatives.
Wow.
You can actually go to the website and set up a meeting where you could schedule where you get to see the offices of where the Congress people or the state reps like work in the Capitol building, or wherever they work. And if they're there, they're always willing to like talk to you. And I just think it's kind of a cool thing. I think it's cool for kids to realize like, hey, these people represent us on a national level, these people that live in our state. So I think that's kind of cool.
And if you're not from, if you're outside the US and you're visiting the US and you're visiting DC, you can also visit Josh as well. And I used our good game of Munsey to do mine, and that is you can visit the residence of your country's delegate as well. So I went to the Australian residency in DC, and obviously it's quite a nice residency, but the Australian one had the Australian flag out one side, the American flag out the other. It had like it had a big koala, like a concrete koala on top of the porch area. It had a kangaroo and an emu as well in the garden areas that you could actually take a photo of and stuff too, which is really, really cool. So have a look around, people. If you're from outside the US, find your delegate's residency. And just be a stalker a little bit. They're happy with it, That's they do it all the time, obviously. So, take some photos and get that memories. That's pretty cool.
Craig, I think we might. Well,
no.
Well, I think
we're going to end it there. We're going to do a part 2 next time. We'll do a part 2 next time, Josh. How's that sound? Because I do have a little bit more information for you before we close it out.
What are you talking about?
How about
more information?
Exactly. So I'll quickly say, though, that so Alison Bertman, we're going to come back to you for your question. We're going to come back as well to Juan Michael Tula as well. We're going to come back to you, buddy. We're going to come back to Andy Zook as well. And we're going to come back and answer their questions in the next episode of Treasures of Our Town. Yes, Josh.
And if you are a patron,
oh yes,
get your question in, because those are just 3. We're going to have time for probably 5 questions.
5 questions, so there's 2 more.
Yes. So we'll put another post in the Patreon feed, and patrons, get in there. If you have another thing you want us to talk about, we'll talk about it 2 weeks from now.
Sounds perfect. But before we do, and before we close it out, Josh, I've got some surprise information that you don't know about, and I'm going to get your reaction live on air as we speak.
I'm nervous.
I know you are, but one of our places that our podcast is on is called Good Pods. So you know how you got Apple Podcasts, you got Spotify, and there's different places that people can listen to the podcast on. One of the places is called Good Pods. That's the actual app. It's called Good Pods. Good Pods has reached out to us, Josh, that you don't realize, and they've rated us in regards to the 2024 podcast ratings. We've got 3 ratings, Josh. Okay. In the geocaching chart for 2024, Treasures of Our Town is rated number 1.
What?
There you go. In outdoor adventures for 2024, the Treasures of Our Town is rated number 1.
What?
In road tripping adventures in 2024, Treasures of Our Town is rated number 3. So there you go, mate.
We're still on the podium.
1, 1, and 3. And we're on for road tripping podcast. There are 2 ahead of us on the road tripping podcast. It's called Greetings from Somewhere. It's a travel show. And Have Monster Will Travel is another travel show. So they're the 2 ahead of us, Josh, for road tripping podcast. So we're not just a geocaching podcast, Josh.
That's really cool.
We are a travel podcast. So there you go, mate.
We should have those 2 other podcasts on our show, and we should go on their show.
That sounds like a good idea.
And then we can have a friendly competition, 2025, where we can take our throne as the road tripping podcast. That's really cool. I don't know how they calculate that. I don't know how that happens. But
no.
I'll take it.
Just in regards to the road tripping podcast, it says the best road tripping podcast from millions of podcasts available on the Good Pods platform and ranked by listeners, ratings, comments, subscriptions, and shares. So that's how they do it. That's how they get the ratings.
Well,
so thank you.
I think that has to do with the people that are listening to this, because they must have shared it. They must have listened. So thank you. Thank you. You know what? When I heard that news, Craig, you know what? It makes me really just like proud. And, I'm proud of my talent, but I'm really proud of this podcast. And you know what? That's a rare thing these days. That's a damn rare thing these days.
That's very clever, because you didn't know what was coming up and you got that in nice and nice. I like it. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Don't forget, Josh, if people want to become a patron as well, to jump in now and ask us some of these questions, what do they have to do?
This is the perfect time to jump in, because we are listening to you. We are creating this content just for you. You have a question, you have a need, you want us to talk about something, we'll talk about it, but we'll only take your advice if you're one of our patrons. So if you'd like to become a patron, you can support us to help us to continue to be apparently now an award-winning podcast.
Yes.
And you'll keep it free, no commercials. So please consider joining us on our Patreon at patreon.com/treasures of our town.
And Josh, how else can people contact us if they wish to contact us?
Feel free to reach out to us at treasuresofourtownpodcast@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube.
So that's it for our show today. Please subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting app like Good Pod. And as always, Josh,
may your travels always lead you to the most unexpected and amazing hidden gems from around the world. See you next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.